Good morning, everybody. Today, well, it's afternoon. It's about 12:15. Today is Sunday. So this morning I got on the ads. We'll get to the menu here in a second. I got on the ads though this morning to look and kind of see, well, what am I gonna get? Stretch out my $50 for next week when I go to the store and just kind of plan it out a little bit. But I saw two deals that I actually ran out and did this morning instead of waiting until Friday to shop, because they were too good of deals and they both ended before Friday. So I didn't want to pass it up. So let me show you real quick. I only got a couple things. Let me just show you. Okay, so here's what I got real quick. These two turkeys at Meijer, they were 55 cents a pound. So I got this one for $8.53, and I got this one for $8.28. These will last my family a while. That, I mean, we will get a good 3 to 4 meals stretching it out per turkey. So that is just something definitely wanted to put up. That's at that price. It's like almost the same price as a whole chicken. Crazy. So then I also, there was a limit of 2, by the way, or I would have probably got 4 of them. I also went to Aldi because they had their butter 2 for $5, which when I've been buying my butter the last couple weeks, I've been getting a 2-pack for like $8.50 something. I'll have to look and let you know the exact number. So that was a really good deal. It was a limit of 6, so I got 6 of these. I just already put some of them away. So that is what I got. Thought I'd share that with you real quick since I'm sharing my shopping with you. Okay guys, so now on to the menu. So today's menu, I messed up a little bit because all day long I was telling the family, it's 1 o'clock now, we're gonna eat a little early, but I was telling the family we're having mac and cheese today, this barbecue chicken, mac and cheese, coleslaw, fresh biscuits, and peach cobbler. That is our menu. That's what we're having tonight. So that is, I'm giving you the menu now. However, on my actual meal plan, mac and cheese is next Thursday, and potato salad was on the meal plan for today, and for some reason I thought it was mac and cheese today. So then I told the family, no, looks like we're having potato salad, coleslaw, biscuits, barbecue chicken, and peach cobbler. And myself included, we're all like, no, we want mac and cheese. So we're having mac and cheese. I'm switching it anyway, even though it's not until next week. So I'm gonna go on and get started. I'm gonna first assemble the mac and cheese. Because I can get it assembled and I can make it ahead a little bit and put it in to just the fridge after it cools down some while I'm making all the other stuff, and then I can pop that in the last 20-30 minutes and let that cook. So let's get that started. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just get this water to a boil so that I can cook my noodles till al dente. Alright, and then I would say probably about a half a box of macaroni. I'm not sure, I keep mine in these big jugs, so I'm just putting some in to boil. Alright, so now we're going to let this do its thing and get to boiling. And really quick while that's going, we're going to whip up the coleslaw. So that way that can sit in the fridge for a few hours before we actually eat. Alright, I am keeping this coleslaw super simple. We are finally about done with this cabbage. I love cabbage. It lasts forever, which is nice. I do still have a pink cabbage that I need to use up. But I'm just going to keep it very basic. I think I might add a little bit of carrot. And a little green onion. This, if I'm making a very basic coleslaw, I don't really measure anything and just kind of keep it really just simple. If you saw the apple coleslaw, nuts and everything, and craisins, that was so good. We loved it. I will definitely make that a few more times. But sometimes with something like barbecue chicken and stuff like that, it's nice to just have a plain coleslaw. And I'm gonna just add a few green onion. Okay. So those don't cut all the way through. And then the dressing is just going to be mayonnaise, apple cider vinegar, and some sugar, some salt, pepper. And then I will just stir this up and put this in the fridge until we're ready for dinner. Alright, and now noodles are done, so I'm going to go on and strain these, drain them, and set them aside so I can make the cheese sauce. Alright, I'm assembling some of my stuff over here. As far as cheeses go, I have some different cheeses that are open. I have a pepper jack. Oh, sorry, not where you can see. I have a pepper jack that's open. I have a cheddar that's open. Another pepper jack. I got some Monterey Jack here. I do have also some mozzarella. And then I also have an open thing here of Parmesan. So I'm just gonna kind of mix up a bunch of cheeses for the cheese portion of this. I'm gonna grate that real quick. And then the mozzarella, I'm just gonna use this one. I do have mozzarella cheese blocks to shred myself, but this is what needs to be used up first. I'm gonna throw that on here too. And then the Parmesan, I'm gonna do that on the top, and I'll freshly grate that over the top. So now that the cheese is done, let's go over to our pan. All right, so on a medium heat, I'm gonna melt some butter. To this melted butter, I'm gonna add some onion, and some fresh minced garlic, or minced garlic. It's not fresh because I needed to finish up this jar. I'm just gonna let this cook up in the butter a little bit. I don't really have measurements for this, and I'm just kind of eyeballing it. Okay, now to this, I'm gonna sprinkle in some flour. I'm just kind of let that cook down. I'm gonna let this cook for just a few minutes before we start adding our milk and our cream. Alright, that's starting to brown a little bit, so I'm gonna slowly start to add my milk. This is just whole milk. Then I also have some cream here, and I want to add that half and half. could probably do heavy cream as well. And I want this to start cooking a little bit. I'm also going to go on and add some salt, a little garlic powder, a little onion powder, some fresh pepper, a little Dijon mustard. And I'm going to whisk all this together and let this just start to come back up to a boil. Okay, so now that this is coming up to a boil and slightly thickened, I'm going to add a little bit of dried parsley as well. I'm going to remove this from the heat so I can start adding the cheese. So now I'm going to add all that good cheese we just grated and stir that all together. Look at that. So good. Now I'm going to add that back to my pot of noodles and stir this up. Just a little more, half and half, just kind of thin it out a little. I feel like it's a little bit too thick. That's getting better. Even just a little more. I'm gonna add just a hair bit more salt and pepper. So I'm going to pour this all in this casserole dish. Smells so good. The garlic and onion are key for sure. Just kind of spread that out. Then I'm going to take my fresh Parmesan and grate it over the top. I'm going to put some butter in to melt. Let this melt, and then I'm going to add some panko breadcrumbs and just kind of brown them a little bit in the butter. And then we'll put those over top. I'm leaving a little more. Let me just finish that up. And let these brown real quick. The butter will finish melting. Alright, back to our macaroni and cheese. And now I'm just going to pour this on top and spread it out. And then I'm just going to top it with a little more dried parsley. And that's it. This will bake at 350 for about 30 minutes. But for right now, I'm just gonna let it sit here until I'm ready to bake it. All right, next I'm gonna start making the barbecue sauce to go on the chicken. So you need about 1.5 cups of ketchup, about a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. Then you need about a cup of brown sugar. About 1/4 cup of molasses, about a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. We'll just leave that in there to stir. about a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, a half teaspoon to a teaspoon or more of smoked paprika. It needs to be the smoked. That gives such a good flavor. Probably one of my favorite seasonings of all is smoked paprika. A little garlic powder, probably about a half a teaspoon. A little salt. A little pepper. Completely optional, but I really like liquid smoke to add just a little bit. Just a little goes a long way, but this gives it a really smoky flavor. I'm just going to stir all this up, and then we're going to add a little bit of water. Actually, I don't even know that we're going to need any water. That might be pretty perfect the way it is. So I'm going to set this aside for our chicken. Alright, so next I'm going to go on and I'm going to wash this chicken, and then I will bring it over to you. I'm just using a whole chicken. I have never done this before, so you're learning with me. So don't laugh if it goes epically wrong. But I'm going to try to make the spatchcock, I believe is how they say it, chicken. So I'm going to cut out the backbone, set it down, push down on the breastbone. It should kind of spread out. So we'll see how that works. Let me rinse this and we'll get started. Okay, so let's give this a try together. I have the backbone here, so I'm just going to want to go through it. And I cut my finger just a little. Just watch out for these sharp little bones. Then I'm going to take it on this side. Alright, so there's the backbone. I put that aside so that I could make a stock out of it. It said to just cut the little bits of bone that you see hanging about. So I got that. I think I got it all. Oh, there's a sharp one. I'm just cutting on that. Try not to cut my fingers off. That's good. Okay. Then it says to take your chicken, turn it to the other side, and you just push. And it should break. It's not really breaking. Like it says, as broke as it's gonna get. And then it says clip the wings, the wing widths off so that they're not sticking up. Okay. And it says that's how you do it. That was actually not that hard. It said to make sure you dry your chicken good with some paper towels. Just pat it really good and dry. And that was way easier than I thought it would be. Just shows we shouldn't get intimidated by things until we try it. So next I'm going to get some oil on this. Okay, add some salt and pepper. Smoked paprika. Salt. Smoked paprika. And garlic powder. And then I'm going to let this sit and rest to come to room temperature, and then I will put this in the oven. So, many of you have told me about different people that you like to watch cook. So I will tell you who I like to watch cook. And it's actually not a homesteader or a new homesteader or old homesteader. The name of his channel is Flav City, and his name is Bobby. He is an amazing cook, and he always says to make sure that your meat, especially chicken and stuff like that, comes to room temperature before you put it in the pan or in the oven. So I try to do that and it's supposed to definitely help how it cooks. So while this is sitting, coming to room temperature, I'm gonna go on and make the biscuits, because the biscuits go in the hottest oven of all of it. So I'm gonna go on and start with them. I'm gonna preheat my oven to 425. I like mostly to cook in cast iron when I'm making biscuits. That's my favorite way. And I don't have to cook for the whole crew today, so I can get some good biscuits in here. So I'm gonna go on and put this in my oven while it's preheating so that this can also preheat. Okay, so this is what I have found to be my favorite way to make biscuits. They turn out pretty perfect every time. And to keep them light and fluffy, I do sift my flour. And here, I'm gonna give you like guesses on measurements, because I don't really measure. But I'm gonna start with 4 cups of flour. That I do measure for the most part. But I wanna go on and sift it. Now, I am making a double batch of biscuits. You could definitely just use 2 cups of flour and cut everything in half. But I'm making a double batch, that way we've got them for breakfast in the morning as well. So I'm gonna do 4 cups of flour. Then I'm gonna add quite a bit of salt, about like that. So I would say maybe 1.5 teaspoons. I would start with that and see, maybe up to 2 teaspoons because this is a double batch. And then I take my baking soda, or I'm sorry, baking powder, not baking soda. Baking soda will make it very bitter. You don't want baking soda, but you do want baking powder. And that was probably 1 to 2 tablespoons, somewhere in there. So if you're doing a half batch, maybe 1. If you're doing a whole batch, 2. And then I just stir that up. Then this is what I have found to be the best. You do not have to do this, of course. It's just what I prefer and we have found to taste amazing. And that is to use lard. And we did buy a whole pig, so we have 2 big tubs of lard. Also though, butter. I like to do part lard, part butter, because you get the flavor of the butter, but the lard gives it a very different consistency. It's very flaky and it's just softer. The lard makes a wonderful consistency and the butter gives a whole lot of flavor. You could do all butter, you could do all lard, you could do Crisco and butter, you could do all Crisco. You just need your fat in there to get a good fat going. I'm just gonna spoon some in. Sorry, I make these so much, it's not, I just don't have measurements. I just kind of know. You get like that, kind of like I am with bread, because we make it so much. You do want your butter and your lard to be cold. So some people even freeze their butter. I tried that. To me, that's more trouble than it's worth. I just put some pats of butter in there. That's what I found to be the best. And I like them to be nice and buttery. Now before I come in with my hands and get a big, big mess, I'm gonna set this aside. And I'm gonna go on and sprinkle some flour down here. So I'm gonna need that for rolling. So I'll just do that. Now, I'm ready. And I just break this up in my fingers. You still want it to have a little bit of chunk, especially the butter. Don't break all of it. You want a couple good chunks of butter in there. It makes them so rich and gooey. Well, not gooey, but so rich and buttery. Get my words right. And then we'll make probably bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits in the morning with the leftover biscuits. And I still had some bacon for making the bacon wrapped green beans yesterday. And of course we have eggs, so breakfast will be pretty done tomorrow. Which is good, because I like to make Charles's breakfast before he goes off to work. Alright, so it's still, a lot of chunks are in here. but that's good. So next, I'm going to start adding milk. I would say probably 2 cups of milk. So I'll measure that out for you guys. If you get too much milk, you can always add more flour. If you get too much flour, or you need more, you can add more. And then just kind of stir it all around. I think that's perfect. And that's why I butter before I, I flour before I do it, because I will be a mess. All right. And yes, I do knead it just a little, just make sure that I get all that flour in there. Next, and one of the most important parts, I feel like, to biscuits, is to get the flaky layers. So I'm gonna knead it just a couple more times real quick. All right, now my rolling pin, I'm just gonna roll it. I can see chunks of butter. See if you guys can see that. Is it picking it up? Can you guys see chunks of butter? That's what you want. Then I'm gonna roll it like 3 times over. I'm gonna do this about 3 times. Ooh, lots of good chunks of butter. See the chunks of butter even coming out the side. These are gonna be some good biscuits. All right. Now, I am about ready to cut them. When you cut biscuits, you want to go straight down. For anybody curious, don't twist, or you seal the biscuit instead of letting it get all those good layers. So straight down and up. And then I'm gonna just set those aside. Lots of good butter in those. They're gonna be so good. Okay, I'm going to get this pan out. That's going to be very hot. Perfect. And I'm going to add some butter. Yeah, that's sizzling. I'm going to go on and just put my biscuits in here. One on that big pat of butter there. All right, there we go. Scooch them over best I can. Now I'm going to get this in the oven. When they come out, I'm going to put a little bit more butter on the top, and they're going to be perfect. These go for about 10 minutes. Okay, I'm going to bump this oven down to 350, and I'm going to pull these out because this is ready for the chicken. All right, so now I pulled these out. They can brown just a little more, so I'm going to dab some butter on them. I checked, they're cooked through. They're all perfect like that. I just like them a hair bit browner on top. So I'm going to pop them back in the oven. just for a minute while the oven's cooling down to 350. Okay, so as soon as these come out of the oven, I'm gonna put side by side the chicken and the macaroni and cheese in the oven. Now all that we're gonna have left to do after those come out of the oven is I need to make the peach cobbler, which works out perfect because it doesn't take long to cook, and these can cool a little bit because the chicken should cool some before you cut into it, and the macaroni and cheese before you scoop that out, that should cool for a few minutes as well. So should be perfect timing on getting this dinner together. Okay, so there are the biscuits. They're perfect. Now, without burning myself, I'm gonna get this stuff in the oven. Okay, it is 2:49, so I'm gonna give it about 30 minutes for the chicken and the mac and cheese. The mac and cheese should be about done at that time, so I will pull out the mac and cheese. The chicken I will pull out, and I will baste with some of that barbecue sauce that we made. I'm gonna put some of that on it. Then I'm gonna put it back in the oven for 15 minutes, pull it out, put some more barbecue sauce on it, put it back in for about 15 minutes. Put a little more barbecue sauce on it, or finish off the barbecue sauce on it, and then put it back in probably for another 5 or 10 minutes, and it should be ready to go. So I'll see you guys in about 30 minutes. All right, the mac and cheese is done. You hear all the bubbly goodness. Now I'm gonna pull the chicken out and we're gonna put some barbecue sauce. All right. So now we're gonna go in with our first round of barbecue sauce. Just kind of really get it on there. Okay, now this is going back in the oven for about another 15 minutes, and then we'll pull it out and put some more barbecue sauce on it. Alright, so while the mac and cheese is out, the chicken's finishing, I've got room to put my cobbler. So I'm going to get a stick of butter in this dish. And then I am going to get this in the oven to melt while I make up the batter real quick. Okay, ignore over here, I got bread rising because we went through all the bread I made yesterday, so we need some for the week. So I got a couple loaves rising here, and I'm sure I'll have to make it a couple more times throughout the week. All right, so we are gonna go in and make the batter to go with this. I'm gonna do 1 cup flour, 1 cup of sugar, oh thank you, a dash of salt, about a teaspoon of baking powder, stir that all around. Then we're going to add a cup of milk, or a hair bit less, and just stir this batter up. Okay, while we are waiting for the butter to finish melting, we're going to go on and do our second batch of barbecue sauce. And I'm gonna put this back in the oven. Tonight, I'm doing one of my cheats. So I've got the Simply Peach pie filling. One day my peach trees will give me enough peaches to make my own pie filling, but for now, I have that and I have this yellow peaches slices, no sugar added. I'm gonna use both of these for my fruit. I'm gonna just drain this real quick, this peaches, and then we'll put that in the cobbler. Okay, our butter is melted. So, now real quick, I'm gonna add just the batter. This is gonna bake at 350 degrees for about 45 minutes. Put in my peaches. And the peach pie filling. Then I'm gonna add a little cinnamon on top. That's all. I'm gonna pop this back in the oven. Okay, so our chicken is done. Everywhere I'm poking, we are good to go. So, I'm gonna let this chicken just sit. I'm not even gonna do the rest of the barbecue sauce because I think that's got plenty on it. I'm gonna let that sit and cool for a little bit before we cut in the meat. So here is dinner. Peach cobbler is done. Okay guys, so that is gonna wrap up tonight. Oh, it's gonna get noisy. We're gonna go eat dinner. Hopefully you guys enjoyed tonight's dinner. It is superb. Hopefully you guys try some of those out. Charles, somebody is in the background waving. I don't know if it's Charles or who. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget to let me know what you had for dinner tonight. Bye everybody, have a great day or night, wherever you are.